Hi, I'm Amelita and this is my channel, The Midnight Librarian, and today I will be talking about my March TBR. My apologies for the angle, it's not the most flattering. I don't know where my tripod is. I'm pretty sure it's in Brad's truck, but he's at work right now and this is the only time and day that I can really film this. So we're working with what we got, and what we got is booked. So you're sitting on like 13 of them. For March, I am hoping to participate in Realmathon, which is a month-long readathon hosted by Cassidy from CoverswithCassidy, who I will have linked down below. I highly suggest you go check her out because she can explain this a whole lot better than I can. So this is the third year that the readathon is taking place. It's the first year that I'm participating in it because it normally happens in April, which is the same month as Magical Readathon that I participate in. However, this year there was a conflict, so Cassidy moved it up to March. So this month-long readathon is a team-based readathon where you join one of 4 teams and you read books and match or pick prompts and read books that match those prompts, and those prompts will either gain you points for your team or take away points from another team. Each team has its own like pros and challenges. Each team sounded like amazing. I loved the themes that she's going with in this. And it was kind of difficult for me to choose a team until I saw the co-hosts. I'm sure each co-host is fantastic. I don't follow all of them, but I am very curious about them all. But the reason I chose Team Blood was because of the co-hosts themselves, and that was Steph from Stephaniebookish and Sydney from Syd BookWorrom. Normally with readathons like this, I don't typically do my Pokemon cards choose my TBR with that because it's just too many prompts to coordinate and it gets complicated and I don't tend to do it. But this time I'm going to go ahead and do my TBR, my Pokemon cards choose my TBR along with it, and then hope that some of the books I pick fit for some of the prompts for the readathon. There are about 15 prompts that will help you earn points for your team and 15 prompts that'll help take away points from other teams, but there are 2 team prompts that'll help either way. And those are the 2 prompts I will be paying attention to when choosing my TBR, but I will mostly be choosing it from my Pokemon cards, if that makes sense. So the 2 prompts that I'm going to keep in mind that are our team prompts are to read a book with red on the cover. It has to be at least 50%. The spine doesn't count, and to read a book with people on the cover. Otherwise, if you don't know what my Pokemon cards choose my TBR prompt game is essentially a TBR jar. However, instead of a jar, I have a box, and instead of prompts written on slips, I have these Pokemon booster packs. Pokemon type has a prompt attached to them, and that's how I pick my TBR. The prompt list is down in the description down below too. That's to hold me accountable, but also to let you know what my prompts are in case you want to do something similar. So I am actually kind of running out of Pokemon cards. I know I got like a couple more during Christmas, but yeah, I opened them outside of my TBR. So I will randomly pick one. We have Astral Radiance, but I will also be keeping in mind too some of the challenges or goals that I have for myself each month. So that is my 24 of 2024 books that I need to read for 2024, which I will also have linked above as well as down below if you want to check out that video. I may be a book behind come March. I have a week left in February as of filming this. And it's not quite going as planned. Not saying that it was a bad reading month by any means, but it's not going as I planned. So I may be a book behind for my 24 of 2024. And then there's also the Buzzwordathon, which is to read a book with a character name in the title. A book of the month book. I'm not subscribed, but I do still have a lot of backlist books from when I was subscribed. A Indigenous author read and a nonfiction. Not to say that I can't have more than one. That is like something to keep in mind anytime I do pick my TBR. So let's get rid of this top card, and here we go. Okay, so we have a trainer card. This is Gardenia's Vigor, and this is a supporter trainer card. I recently changed up my trainer card, some prompts, and kind of broke down the trainer cards. So this is a supporter card, and that is to read a mood read. And for that, I'm going to go ahead and get this book on my TBR while I can, and that is Carbon Sovereignty, Coal Development and Energy Transition in the Navajo Nation by Andrew Curley. My apologies if you can hear a helicopter. I am participating in a book circle at the university that I work at. I'm really excited to do so. They've had it for the last several semesters, several years actually, and I never thought I could really participate because I wasn't sure if I had the time, but also it was like titled Faculty Book Circle, which made me think as a staff that I couldn't join, only to find out like, no, like there's plenty of staff that join, and if it wasn't for staff, there wouldn't be a book circle. So this is what we're reading for this semester. I think we plan to have it done by March, by the end of March from my understanding. This is a nonfiction by an Indigenous author, and it also has people on the cover, so that works great for Realmathon. This is what it's about. For almost 50 years, coal dominated the Navajo economy, but in 2019, one of the Navajo Nation's largest coal plants closed. This comprehensive new work offers a deep dive into the complex inner workings of energy shift in the Navajo Nation. Geographer Andrew Curley, a member of the Navajo Nation, examines the history of the coal development within the Navajo Nation, including why some Dene supported coal and the consequences of doing so. He explains the Navajo Nation's strategic choices to use the coal industry to support its sovereignty as a path forward in the face of ongoing colonialism. Carbon Sovereignty demonstrates the mechanisms of capitalism through colonialism and the construction of resource sovereignty, and both Navajo nations embraced in its rejection of the coal economy. Okay, so I'm a little worried with this book because I was warned ahead of time. A couple of the other books that were chosen for the book circle that I read on my own time were like Fresh Banana Leaves by Dr. Jessica Hernandez and Braiding Sweetgrass by Robin Wall Kimmerer. I really enjoyed those books, but I did listen to them, and that to me is easier when it comes to those books. But I was warned that this one, Carbon Sovereignty, is a bit more academic than the other two. To me, means it's not as accessible in terms it has that academic writing. It has writing that's geared towards people in the field. So we'll see how this goes, but ultimately I'm really excited to be able to read this. I think this is going to be really important as we try to define carbon sovereignty, and ultimately as a lot of tribes are trying to figure out how to be energy sufficient and be sovereign in terms of energy sufficiency. We're seeing something similar here as our tribes are trying to figure out current proposal of wind farms off the coast. And how that'll affect the local area. I think this one is really relevant, and I think I'm excited to go into it and figure out what's going on with that, as well as talking to people that I work with. Maybe not, a lot of them not very closely, but work on the same campus with and have deep and meaningful discussions, and to be able to get a better understanding of what it is we're reading. So that's exciting. So that's my mood read. Okay, next we have Pillow Swine, which is the evolved form of Swinub, and this is a water Pokemon, and water is to read a book that is set in a different country, continent, or planet, and for that I am going to have a February rollover. As I said before, February didn't go as planned, but that is The Fox Wife by Yang-Shih Chu. So this is one of my February anticipated releases. I do have the physical copy now, so that this will be in a haul as well, so my apologies if you see it twice. But this was also my February TBR, and it just needs to be put on to March. I've read Yang-Shih Chu before. I love The Ghost Bride, and The Night Tiger was really interesting. But this one, we are in Manchuria, 1908. It is the last years of the dying Qing Empire. A courtesan is found dead in a doorway. Her death is clouded by rumors of foxes, which are believed to lure people by transforming them into beautiful women and handsome men. Bao, a detective, who with an uncanny ability to sniff out the truth, is hired to uncover the dead woman's identity. Since childhood, Bao has been intrigued by the fox gods, yet they have remained tantalizingly out of reach until perhaps now. Yeah, that's all I know. That's all I really want to know. There is a map on the inside, which I'm really excited about. Like, I know it's not like in a fantasy realm at all, this is historical fiction, but it's still exciting to have a map. And I'm always intrigued by other parts. I never thought of myself as a history buff. I still don't really consider myself a history buff, but I'm finding myself really intrigued by historical fiction. So yeah, I think this will be really fun, and it has a person on the cover, which will work for Realmathon. This is another trainer card. It's Canceling Clone, and it's an item trainer card, which means that I have to read a library book, which is perfect because I got something in through Interlibrary Loan that I'm excited to read, and that is Untethered Sky by Fonda Lee. Now, I believe Fonda Lee wrote the Jade City saga. I have yet to read that. I'm slightly interested, but like I kind of want to test the waters with her writing first, though I've heard mixed things about Untethered Sky. So it's probably unfair to compare, but I am very intrigued by this book. Its cover is really entertaining to me, but like I said, I've heard mixed things. But ultimately we are following Esther, whose family is falling apart. Her mother and her baby brother were killed by a manticore, and that leaves her with her silent father. Esther now is driven to kill the monster that has broken her family. That's all I know. That's all I really want to know. It's like a 152 page book, and I'm really intrigued by it. I do already have the physical copy through Interlibrary Loan. However, I did leave it at work, which is fine because it is a naked hardback anyway, so it doesn't have this gorgeous cover, which has a person on it, so that works for Realmathon. This is an energy card, and with energy cards, it's to take the color of the energy card and match it to a book cover, and that's the book cover I will be reading, or book I will be reading. And for the psychic energy card, I will be picking The Last Mapmaker by Christina Soontornbutt. I'm sorry if I butcher that. But basically, I believe this is a middle grade. I've had this for a couple years now. I think it was one of my anticipated releases for 2022. Now we're hearing a plane. What's going on? But we are following Sai, who has a secret. She's an assistant to Mankong's most celebrated mapmaker, Payun Wangai. She plays the part of a well-bred young lady with a glittering future. In reality, her father is a low-life con man. And in a kingdom where your status of your ancestors dictates your social position, no one can know that Sai's connection to the past is a single tarnished link. So when Sai is given opportunity to join Payun on an expedition to chart the southern seas, she jumps at the chance to sever that link and start a new life. But soon she realizes that there is more to this expedition than meets the eye. She's not the only one on board with secrets, and when she learns that the ship may be headed to the fabled Sunderlands, a land of dragons, dangers, and riches beyond imagination, she has to make a choice, decide exactly what she's willing to risk to chase after her dreams. So I've heard good things. A couple people have commented on my videos when they saw this in the background saying that it was really good and that I should get to it. So I think hopefully this will be the month that I get to it. This also has a person in the cover, and we do have a bit of purple at the top there, just a little bit, but it's still there. So yeah. Next. Good gravy. Okay, so this is Hiswain Sumarat, a V Holo. So this is one of those special cards that are really rare, supposedly. So with this, I essentially get to buy a book. That is what these are leading to. Is what I'm hoping to read for Hiswain Sumarat. So. This is a Barboach, and it is a water Pokemon, and it is reverse holo. So this is to read a book that is found in a different country, continent, or planet, and it has to be a backlist. So I think for this, it's another February rollover, and that is going to be The Sleeping World by Gabrielle Lucille Fuentes. This was also my favorite TBR. I don't think I'm going to be able to get to it. This is the cover jacket, or dust jacket, but because I think I have it in my purse in anticipation of finishing my current read. It just hasn't happened yet. So this takes place in Spain in 1977. Military rule is over. We are following Mosca, who's an intelligent, disillusioned university student whose younger brother is among the disappeared. He was taken by police 2 years ago and is considered dead. However, Mosca and her friends end up committing an act that takes their rebellion too far and sends them spiraling out of their provincial hometown. But the further they go, the more Mosca believes her brother is alive and is willing to risk everything to find him. So this is part of my 24 of 2024. So this is the one I don't think I'll be able to get to in February, but would like to read still. So, and it's completely red, which helps a lot with Realmathon. We have another Barboach. This time it is not holographic or reverse holoed, so it's to read another book that is set in a different country, continent, or planet. And for the second Barboach, I think I'm going to go ahead and choose Mexican Gothic by Silvia Moreno Garcia. This is set in Mexico. I have not read this yet. I know that it's made its rounds through BookTube several years ago and several times. This is highly like BookTube baby, but it's one that when it gets this type of hype, I tend to be wary, and so I don't pick it up for the longest time. So I think the hype has finally died down a bit, and I had heard that it has similar feels and like vibes with What Moves the Dead. So I'm really kind of intrigued by that. The cover, I'm not sure if this pinkish maroon color really counts as red, but it does have a person, which helps with Realmathon. But otherwise, we are following Naomi, who is an unlikely rescuer. She's a debutante, a glamorous debutante who's suited more for cocktail parties than amateur sleuthing. But when she receives a frantic letter from her newlywed cousin, Naomi Taboda heads to High Place, a distant house in the Mexican countryside, unsure of what she will find. But she's tough and smart and not afraid of her cousin's new English husband, a stranger who is both menacing and alluring, not of his father, who is the ancient patriarch, who seems fascinated by Naomi and not the house itself, which begins to invade Naomi's dreams. Yeah, I've been like, this cover is just absolutely gorgeous. That's always attracted me to it too. So hopefully, mostly because I have read the Gods of Jade and Shadow and wasn't all that impressed with it, so I'm curious as to how I feel about this one. Next is Mischievous, which is a psychic, which is to read a thriller. Mexican Gothic would have been perfect for this, but so this one has me intrigued. This is a Hawaiian Sneasel, and that is to read, this is a dark Pokemon, and so that's to read a horror. For the Hawaiian Sneasel, my apologies if this has changed at all. My camera stopped filming. I am going to pick The Bridge of Souls by Victoria Schwab. This is the third book in the Cassidy Blake series. For now, my understanding is that Victoria Schwab has taken a break on this series, and it's currently unknown if there's going to be more or not. But ultimately, we are following Cassidy Blake, who, when she was young, had a near-death experience, and since then, she's been able to see ghosts. In fact, one of her best friends is a ghost. Her mother and father, one of them's really into history, and another one's really into like paranormal activity. So they end up doing this docu-series and go to different haunted places to talk about the history of it as well as the paranormalness of it. And while they drag Cassidy along with them, where she ends up figuring out these ghostly mysteries. The first one was set in Edinburgh, Scotland. The second one was in the catacombs of Paris, France, and I believe this one is set in New Orleans, Louisiana. I'm very curious about how this will necessarily end and where it's going. It is mostly red, so that's helpful, as well as there's a blurry person on the cover, which I think still counts. So yeah, I'm very curious about this. I have some thoughts about Victoria Schwab, but I've been wanting to finish this off before revealing any thoughts. So we have Ralt, which is a psychic, which is to read a thriller. A lot of, okay. Okay. And then for my last book, we have... Perfect. Okay, this is Magnemite, which is a steel Pokemon, which is to read a nonfiction. And this is perfect because I had wanted to get another nonfiction in my TBR, and that is The Library, A Fragile History by Andrew Pettigrew and Arthur Derweduen. This is also on my 24 of 2024. I find that I do better if I have one that's an audiobook and one that's a physical. Obviously that didn't work too well in February, but hopefully I can keep it back up. A famed across the known world, jealously guarded by private collectors, built up over centuries, destroyed in a single day, ornamented with gold leaf and frescoes or filled with beanbags and children's drawings. The history of the library is rich, varied, and stuff full of incident. Yeah, I don't know if this will work necessarily for Realmathon, just because the cover I'm looking at on Goodreads is this one, and that has a person on the cover. However, the one that is available through Libro is this one, and there is no person on the cover. It's just stacks of books. I don't think it would necessarily work, but it is one that I would like to get to. Maybe I can make it work for another person's prompt, maybe. But ultimately, I am excited about this. I work in a library. I am planning on getting my master's in library science, so I think this will be really interesting. And yeah, that is all my prompts for my Pokemon Chooses My TBR. For the physical books, I have these, which isn't too bad. I'm really hoping I am able to get to them in March. It is a slightly longer month, so hopefully, and I don't plan on taking any vacations, so hopefully that helps as well. But that's what I'm hoping for. That is ultimately my TBR for the month of March. If you've read any of these, please let me know your thoughts down in the comments down below. If you made it this far and don't feel like commenting your thoughts, or don't have the spoons for it, let's go ahead and put, is there a blood drop emoji? Let's put some kind of red emoji for Team Blood. Otherwise, thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for supporting, and I hope that you are in the mental mindset to enjoy your reading. I will see you in another video very soon. Cheers.